Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And welcome to Forgotten Cinema Lead Up. Each episode, we highlight a film from a popular series and follow it all the way to its most recent release. We'll discuss what we love about the movie or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it, even the not so good ones. Let's get into it. Mike, what is going on? We are, I guess, done. Just before we started with the Tron lead up, we are finished with the Tron lead up.
We are,
Exactly.
That's how it goes.
Exactly. So what's up?
I was given this company when my father disappeared into nothingness. He ran a hugely successful company called Encom. He seemed to be a caring father. It was just me, him, and my grandparents, and passed away, left a majority share of the company to me, but I really didn't feel like I was worthy to run my father's company. So it kind of ended up in the hands of these, for-profit people making operating systems that barely had any upgrades. I'm sure technology that was kind of the same. Meanwhile, I'm trying to steal it and give it away to the people for free. I'm techno Robin Hood over here. But then my almost surrogate father, Bruce Boxlinger, gave me Alan Bradley gave me a pager. Said, your dad's pager just started in his old arcade shop. I went over there. Boom. I investigated, and now I'm in the world of Tron. I'm in the cyber world, and the
grid. You're on the grid. Here.
On the grid, Clue's after me. My dad's there, but he doesn't necessarily want to go. He doesn't blame Clue for what's going on, but there's some oppressive regime stuff going on. It's also kind of biblical, but it's cool because I found this cute girl who happens to be a Jesus program. Who I'm going to bring into the real world, and we're gonna make some
Jesus
human
program. A Jesus program?
They were born from nothing.
That does not mean to. All right. Okay. So we're talking about Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
We're done. You're done. That's right. The sequel that was 28 years in the making, I guess, because this did come out 28 years after the original Tron, which I didn't realize it was 2010. I thought it was 2016. So it made me feel even older that this film came out 15 years ago. Tron Legacy has a runtime of 125 minutes. It's rated PG. Production budget of $170 million. It came out on December 17th, 2010. That's a Friday. It's also obviously the holiday season, the Christmas season. So obviously when we go through its movie releases, it went up against a lot of stuff. Its opening weekend, it did $44 million. Its domestic take was 172, and its international take was 228. For a worldwide total of $400 million. Production company was Walt Disney Pictures, of course, Sean Bailey Productions, Live Planet, and Prana Studios, and it was distributed by Disney. So it came out on the 17th, which means if you go back a week to the 10th, you had The Chronicles of Narnia, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I think that's the third film, which I don't believe anybody saw, right, Mike? Because I don't remember that being busy
I
at
certainly
all.
didn't.
No. You also had the Johnny Depp, Angelina Jolie star, The Tourist. You had a limited release of The Fighter and Frankie and Alice, and then The Fighter was in a wide release when this film came out on the 17th. It also went up against Yogi Bear, Forgetful, How Do You Know, and Black Swan. Exactly. You had a limited release of Casino Jack and Rabbit Hole that week, and then the 22nd, which is the Wednesday after, you had a wide release of Little Fockers and True Grit. And on the Christmas, the 25th, you had a wide release of Gulliver's Travels and The King's Speech, and a limited release of The Illusionist. When you look back, you're like, oh, those aren't that great of films, but you don't know that at the time. So their business, is contingent upon people's excitement for the movies. So
right.
So obviously the holiday season is always busy for those who know the theater industry. And Mike and I obviously have worked there. This film is directed by Joseph Kosinski, who has done Top Gun Maverick, F1 the movie, Only the Brave, and Oblivion.
A movie we did on the podcast.
There you go. You have a couple of writers here. You had a screenplay and story credit for Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz, who are a writing duo. Kitsis has done about 21 episodes of Lost, the TV show, and 8 episodes of the TV show Popular. Horowitz is the TV creator, I believe, and showrunner of Once Upon a Time, the ABC show. You had a story credit of Brian Klugman and a story credit for Lee Sternthal. Klugman has done Baby, 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 The Words, and Cloverfield. He's actually more of an actor. He's an actor in Cloverfield. And Sternthal has also done The Words. Cinematographer was Claudio Miranda, who was nominated for an Oscar for The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. He also won an Oscar for Life of Pi. The composer was obviously Daft Punk, who's in the movie as well. Edited by James Haygood. He's done Fight Club, Panic Room, and The Lone Ranger.
A movie we did on the show as well.
We did indeed. Produced by Sean Bailey, Steve Lisberger, and Jeffrey Silver. Bailey has done Solace, The Core, and Gone Baby Gone. If you remember from our last lead up, Lisberger is obviously he directed the original Tron. He's also a producer on Tron Ares and Animal Olympics, which is before Tron. Jeffrey Silver has produced the 2019 Lion King and the movie Edge of Tomorrow. Not a huge cast. You think there would be a huge cast, but not really. You had Jeff Bridges as Kevin Flynn and Clue. Just like I said last time, 7 Oscar nods, 1 win, Crazy Heart. Garrett Hedlund as Sam Flynn, our son of Kevin Flynn from the TV show Tulsa King. He's also in the movies Mudbound and Inside Llewyn Davis. Olivia Wilde as Cora. Spelled Quorra, which when I saw it and I wrote it down, I was like, wait a minute, what was her name again? Then I remember, wait, they're calling her Cora. Okay. She is in Don't Worry, Darling. She also directed it. She's in the movie Richard Jewell and the TV show Vinyl, which only had 1 season on HBO, but I actually liked that show, but they canceled it. Bruce Boxleitner as Alan Bradley and Tron, the TV shows Scarecrow, Mrs. King, and Babylon 5. James Frain as Jarvis, that swarmy kiss up to Clue. He's in The Tudors. He's in the first 2 seasons of The Tudors. He's also in the TV show Gotham and The Lone Ranger Butler, like you said before, a movie we did. Bo Garrett as Jem, the woman that befriends Sam Flynn when he first gets dressed, and then she is his contact to Castor. She's in all white. She's got the blonde hair. She's in the TV show Firefly Lane for a couple seasons, I believe, and the TV show Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce. I don't know where that is, but it's somewhere. And then Michael Sheen plays Castor / Zeus from the TV show Masters of Sex. He's also in Frost Nixon and the movie The Queen, and amongst other things he's in. And then you had a couple other people in there that you probably recognize. Jeffrey Nordling as Richard Mackey, the CEO of NCOM, who in the beginning says we put a 12 on the box when Bradley asked what was different with the iOS. And Cillian Murphy as Edward Dillinger, the son of
Dillinger from the first. I can't remember his first name, but Dillinger in the first film.
Yes, so the bad guy in the first film. So there's that connection there, which we can talk about a little later. But obviously, there might have been some idea for a sequel.
I think he was meant to have a much bigger part.
Yeah, he is uncredited in this film, but you'll notice him like, hey, I know that guy. Okay. So we both have seen this film. I think we both have talked about this film on the show. We both have liked this film. I don't really think that I know my opinion didn't change. I did watch this with a little bit more of a critical eye. Did learn a few things here about the film. But I guess to kick it off, Mike, I'm curious if you can go back to when this film first came out, if you remember your initial feelings, like not feelings, but were you anticipating this film when it first came out? Were you excited for a sequel to Tron? It is so much. It's 28 years removed from Tron, and when we talked about Tron last episode, we talk about how much we like it. But yes, it's dated. Yes, it has hangups, but it's so far ahead of its time that you can see what they're trying to go for there. But when this film was announced and when this started happening, can you remember your excitement level back in 2009 or early 2010?
So when we first saw Tron, we had just gotten the IMAX installed in our theater.
Correct.
The only movie, like new release movie, we did watch Inception because that's how we tested it. And I think we released one movie for a week, and then Harry Potter and Half-Blood Prince came out.
Harry Potter was the first one in IMAX film we had.
So that was November.
It was the Thanksgiving season. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got this one. And I didn't really have that much. Like, the trailer looked cool. but I didn't have that much excitement going into it because I had never seen the original Tron. I knew of it, but I had never seen it. But then I watched it, and it is still to this day the greatest IMAX film I've watched in IMAX. And I think it is, and I was talking to Elise about it, I think this is one of the last great summer blockbusters of where like the summer, but even though it's not summer,
I was going to say
it just feels like that last great big blockbuster action adventure, you know, bring your family to it. It's got everything kind of movie. I obviously love the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies. But I think Into Darkness was before that. I don't believe that came out after Tron Legacy. I just think that, I mean, there have been a couple of other movies since then. Top Gun Maverick is obviously a big summer blockbuster type movie. Gives you that same kind of feeling, but there haven't been that many. And I think Tron was one of the last ones. Like I could probably, if I had time to compile a list, there would probably be, out of these last 15 years, maybe 4 or 5 movies that weren't Marvel movies. Obviously, Avengers Endgame and Infinity War are big, but even including them, it still might be one of the last big and surprising blockbuster movies. It just blew my mind when I watched it in the IMAX. Blew a lot of speakers when the grid explodes at the end. I remember we had the IMAX guy check our speakers to make sure we didn't blow up. He's like, they're blowing up everywhere. I got to check all the speakers. But I think we got lucky because we were brand new.
They don't test these things.
Yeah. It was just a great, great experience. And I think I watched it probably like 3 or 4 times in the IMAX. And then I never got the Blu-ray for some reason. And I always regretted it. So I really haven't seen it in a long time. So this watch, I was very excited for this watch because I remember loving it so much and I hadn't seen it in so long. And I still really, really like this film. But like you said, I kind of watched it with a slightly more critical eye. But I still think it's just a really solid blockbuster film, the way that I don't think they really get made anymore.
When you say blockbuster film, you mean in terms of tone. You don't like, I know you're saying it's not too dark. It does deal with heady topics. It does deal with some adult themes, but it's not like, it's not overly, I know like a lot of the Marvel films towards the end of its run were dark because, you know, dark times. And I know you mentioned Into the Darkness for Star Trek, and that's kind of like a dark turn there for Star Trek. So you're just saying it's a little lighter than most.
It's a little lighter than most. Everyone can come see it. It's got a ton of action, but like you said, it deals with heady topics, but in a way that still lets you it's very digestible, but not in a simple, stupid kind of like not talking down to you kind of way. Just in I'm here to escape reality, which, you know, I guess pun intended here. And it does that, and it does that so well. And I think that's what I mean. You know, back in the 90s, I grew up, you know, watching the 90s big action, Independence Day, Godzilla, Jurassic Park, Lost World, you know, Men in Black. You used to have tons of these movies where it just like you went in mostly during the summertime. But like I said, this December, but it's still the same feeling. You come out of the theater and like, you're like, wow, I was just somewhere. Twister gave me that same feeling back in the day. So, you know, I think that Tron is one of those last movies to really do that for me.
Okay. It's been 15 years. Well, since Top Gun, though. I mean, you said Top Gun Maverick you liked, right?
Top Gun Maverick was really cool and wasn't a Marvel movie that was like you see on IMAX and you're just like, wow. Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick definitely has its roots set in the 80s and 90s in terms of the type of movie it is. I mean, some of the Mission Impossibles are like that. What's that?
Yes. We always talk about 4, 5, and 6 are a great, that's a great trilogy where you get that same kind of feeling. Yeah.
Right. So I think some of those have that. So the big action fairs, it's definitely a big action movie. It's definitely a big film. I think it does right by the original because the original, like I said before, was so ahead of its time in terms of ideas and what it was trying to portray and what it was trying to do but unfortunately, like the technology and the ability to do what it wanted to do wasn't there yet. So I think when you do a movie like this film and you're able to execute what they did on screen, I think it's a big time win, because if not, you don't want to lose, you don't want to miss that opportunity. And I think it's safe to say that a lot of that probably has to do with the director, Kaczynski. I mean, I like Oblivion. I actually watched F1 the movie, that's another film that's a big summer film like that you would.
I saw you watch that. Yeah, I forgot to ask you what you thought of F1.
Yeah, no, it's definitely that. It's definitely a big film. It's a big summer like fare. It's like one of those movies you could just go watch and like, wow, I really enjoyed that. It's definitely it definitely knows what it's doing. And I'm blanking on the other Kaczynski film that I just brought up. That he had done that I like.
You said Oblivion.
Top Gun Maverick, yeah, and he did Maverick, Top Gun Maverick. So, I kind of dig Joseph Kosinski. I like his movies, most of his films. I haven't seen all of them. I think he really knows what he's doing, and I know that with this film, he had to actually he had to go off and shoot like a sample or a little short to show them what he was trying to do with the grid, like his idea for the grid. Because I had that in my notes that he asked Disney for money if he could just shoot like a little teaser to show them what he wanted to do, and then when they saw it, they're like, "Okay, let's go ahead with this." So because they had a different idea.
All right, because I know that there's a mini movie out there that's kind of like teases what the sequel would have been.
That looks like a fan made movie. I know.
Yeah, that's at the end of that's on the Blu-ray.
Yeah,
I had watched that over my brother's house because he bought the Blu-ray, and I was like, "Oh, can we watch that scene? Because I want to watch." Yeah, it's all like it's a one big commercial, basically.
Yeah, and they use footage from the promotion of Tron Legacy, because they did a lot of interactive promotions with Tron Legacy, like and Bruce Boxleitner was part of that, and Garrett Hedlund was part of that. And they set up these like scavenger hunts and they had this fake NCOM press conference that people, with Flynn Lives were there. Like that's all was part of the hype machine. It was all part of the promotion for the movie. What I'm talking about is like this concept test that they did, that they used at Comic-Con, at the 2008 Comic-Con, to show like that Disney was like, this is what we're doing. And that was what I believe Kaczynski was part of, to kind of show that. I remember they revealed the title was Tron with a 2 as the O, and it just said Tron 2. It wasn't called Tron Legacy at that point. And then obviously as they got into the movie and they started writing it and they started making changes, it became Tron Legacy, which is what we have here. So I think the first thing I want to go for is first thing I'd like to talk about is the visuals, is the world itself, is the graphics, is the CGI. Let's hold off on the CGI for a second. We'll get to young Jeff Bridges and Clue and all that stuff.
Right.
Talk about the grid. Talk about what you. For me, everything stood out. But what did you like about what you saw with the grid in Tron Legacy, even if it's compared to what they did in Tron?
I think it's really cool. It's a little jarring after you watch Tron to go into Tron Legacy and see the more physical things, the physical floors, the physical walls, and still a lot of the kind of more like classic, grid-like just CGI world. But I think it jives. I think it works. I think that's how you'd get like, I picture when you play video games and you clip through walls that you're not supposed to clip through, and you see, the developers have made a little bit more wall, but it wasn't really supposed to be there, and the rest is that big open void space. So I think that's what Tron Legacy is going for, and I think it works really well. I think most of the CGI, like I said, we'll get into CGI bridges, but most of the CGI is still great. Like it still holds up. And I remember this being one of the very few, if not one of really the only 3D films that we watched in IMAX where I was like, wow, that 3D was impressive.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that really holds up. It doesn't necessarily jive with the original version of Tron, but I don't know if I need it to, because technology changes so rapidly that you're going to need it to change. Like I know I saw a 30-second ad for Tron Ares, and their version of the grid also looks a little different than Tron Legacy. It looks like it's trying to kind of combine that and the original Tron a little bit more. And I'm cool with that too. Because like I say, technology changes so quick. You can it makes sense for the grid to look different each time.
Well, it also makes sense because Flynn, and then he created Clue, built the grid. So they went in there and he rebuilt everything. So it makes sense that he would build it like that. One of the notes you're talking about with the sets is that Joseph Kaczynski was an architectural major. So he was an architect, and in all his films, which makes sense when we think about Oblivion, he hires like his friends, his buddies that he, who have degrees, and they build as many sets as possible. So they came in and built these sets. They built like a 10 or 12 sets for the movie, which is very appreciative, and it helps a big deal.
That explains why I want to live in Jeff Bridges' apartment in Tron and Tom Cruise's Sky apartment in Oblivion.
Oh, I love the Sky apartment. So it's really cool that, he's a director that came from a different world, which is great, which is always great. I enjoy the world. I enjoy that there's a little bit with Tron Legacy that they were able to kind of show the difference between the grid and off the grid, and like what that entails, and where, what that world looks like, and they kind of get into the ISOs a little bit, which we'll get into later. So let's get into the de-aging and Jeff Bridges' Clue, or young Jeff Bridges in the beginning of the movie, and then Clue himself, and then a little Tron too, because they do have a young Bruce in there, Bruce Boxleitner for Tron. I don't know how you're doing this movie without using the CGI. And I think it's fair to say that, okay, yes, when you look at it now, we have improved since then in terms of what you've had in like Rogue One, where they've just created characters, that have passed, and they just put them in there. Or you had young Leia in that one as well. And they did that again with The Mandalorian, where they had Skywalker in there. So it is dated, but does it still hold up for you?
It definitely doesn't look as good as it did, but you can give it the benefit of the doubt in that Clue is a computer program. Sure. So yes, that one shot where you see Jeff Bridges like, but Clue is a computer. So it's like, I tried to like rationalize that pretty much right away. And then I was kind of digging it. I know I've seen clips there's already clips on YouTube where people use deepfake technology on top of the young Jeff Bridges, and it makes it look incredible. Like really, really good. But for what they had back then, I think it totally works. You're vested in the story. You're in a computer world already. So I think that kind of excuses it and allows you to kind of, not hide it. Cause I know they hide young Jeff Bridges a little bit. Hey, Dad. And he turns around, and then he kind of you see him briefly, and then he turns into the darkness, but Clue there up front and center on. And I think they knew what they were doing too with that whole, it's a computer world. It's fine.
And the version of Jeff Bridges that they're using is from the movie Against All Odds, which came out 2 years after the original Tron. So that's where they're taking Jeff Bridges from. If you remember, if you saw Dial of Destiny, the Indiana Jones film, they used composites of Harrison Ford from Last Crusade for Dial of Destiny. So they pulled this from a different movie. Just kind of like add that in there.
I like that because it takes place after Tron. So they're getting a slightly older version of Jeff Bridges.
Right.
That makes sense to me. Plus, Jeff's like bathed in red light in his arcade, and then he's in the Tron world. So there's probably easier to get natural looking images in a different movie.
Yeah. While we're on the characters, let's talk about Kevin Flynn. Do you believe, or do you like the Kevin Flynn we have in Tron Legacy, knowing what Kevin Flynn was like in Tron? Does that character, what he has become, make sense to you? His Zen-like ways, and just, who he is.
I was curious to see how you felt about that. I think that it still works. He's much more fun in the first one, but this is someone who has seen his life's work get destroyed by himself, because Clue is him. Clue is exactly what he programmed to do, and he kills all the ISOs, and he's got one ISO left. He's stuck there. He left his kid. He's got a lot of regrets. So the Zen thing, though, seems like a lot of them just bringing a lot of Jeff Bridges into it. Just like, hey, man, this far out thing. It just seems like, which I'm fine with, because that's how I like my Jeff Bridges. But it does seem like they're just like, Jeff, we want Flynn to be more you. If you could bring more of the dude into this, that'd be great. And so like, I liked it, but I don't necessarily think I have, now having watched the first one, believe some of that Zen man kind of stuff.
Mhm.
That being said, I do like that Clue, having been like basically born of Flynn. Flynn is kind of his father, his creator, borrows some of that. Like even when he's not with Flynn or joking, he goes, "Hey man." Like I do like that.
I think he's that's in there. I don't know. He may say it sarcastically at times. If he has sarcasm, you have to remember that he's built from Flynn before Flynn develops that Zen-like ways, before Flynn understands and kind of learns what's important. Like he talks about what perfection is. You have that at the end where he's like, I didn't know what I thought perfection was, building the perfect system, but I didn't know that perfection is imperfection. It's my son. It's life. And which I think is a really cool theme and idea. What do you think? And I know the answer to this, but what do you think makes, Clue as a villain effective? Especially, I think this is also especially, I think it's very relatable no matter the time period, no matter what year we're in. I think this is a very effective type of villain that Clue is.
Oh yeah, those authoritarians, one against the others kind of a thing is always works, because that's what freedom is always fighting against. I think Clue also works, and it's what I thought the first time I watched it. It's what I think now. It's very biblical, and I think that if you have the right setting to do a kind of biblical story, and as we all know on the show, I'm not a big religious guy, but the Bible is like one of the original stories. And this is kind of God versus Satan kind of a thing. And I think if you can do that right, and I think this movie does, it really works, because those themes, like you're talking, like the authoritarian thing is, but all of these themes in this movie are so universal and are something you can always talk about, so theological and introspective, that I think this movie is able to, and much like the first Tron kind of gets into that a little bit, it enables you to tell a really deep story that you need an epic like this to tell, because it's just, I think it's really well done the way they handle it. And the way Clue is defeated at the end is through a speech, which is very Doctor Who, very Star Trek Captain Picard. I really like the character of Clue. I like what they do with him. I like his speech at the end was basically, "I'm just trying to make you proud, Dad." I think that's great. I think Clue is a really cool character. I really dig him, man.
Well, what Butler is referring to is the fact that like Flynn is God in this world, and that Michael, like Tron, is like the Archangel Mike. Excuse me.
He's Archangel
Michael. Jesus, I can't talk. Clue is Lucifer, the devil, and they're creating the world. And the Isos, who is what Korra is from, is mankind. They show up, and Flynn chooses the Isos. He chooses the mankind, and the Satan and Clue are jealous, and they hate that, and that's why they try to mess with man and kill man, destroy man. And it's not until Flynn's son, Jesus, aka Sam, returns to show up, and like that's kind of what you're talking about. Which definitely follows that path line. That path. But like that story is like the story of that's humanity. That's me and you, we have this podcast, and then something new pops up and I fall in love with it, and you hate it. So you just go, you know what I mean? Like you go after and be like, no, screw that. You're not going to do like stuff like that. Like that's just, I agree with you. But like, that's also, I think that can be found everywhere. Sure. I guess their allegories are all over the place. So speaking of the ISOs, explain to me, because this is the one question I had throughout the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. Flynn says this a bunch of times about how Korra going to change the world, bring Korra to the world because she's going to change the world. Mike, how exactly is Korra and Sam Flynn going to change the world?
I mean, I assume Korra and Sam Flynn will make human synthetic hybrid babies. That's what I assume. I think that it's very unclear what the ISOs can do. He talks about them curing disease, creating clean energy, doing all this stuff. We know Korra is incredibly well read. She's a learned person, but I think pretty much everybody on the grid could be because they have access to all of knowledge. I think that whatever their plan was for Korra was going to be in the sequel. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kaczynski or any of the other writers have a little Bible that tells them exactly what Cora could do. But I think it's unclear to us because Kevin Flynn just starts saying stuff that's just like, she's going to do everything. Like, what can't she do?
Mm-hmm.
And I had the same thing. Like, I get that they could make some genetically perfect babies, I guess, because their children would have her code is DNA, so maybe they can combine and then
her code is triple helix.
DNA.
She has a triple helix, not a double helix.
So, double helix.
So that's number one. So number one, she's triple helix. Okay, great. So does that mean that she's gonna have to go under some tests? They're gonna just take her and put her in a lab, and they're just gonna test her and see what, like, is her blood gonna cure disease? Like, are we saying that she's so super smart because they just manifested inside this digital world that she's gonna solve everything? Like, whatever it is, I don't know, but. Look, Mike, every time he said it, I always wrote the note. But how? Like, that's great. She's going to change the world. But like, how? How is she going to change the world? And I guess, Field, this isn't that kind of movie, so don't worry about it. She's just going to change the world and be happy that she sees the sunset at the end of the film or sunrise and she's crying. Great job. Okay, that's fine. I guess I can move on.
You shouldn't be happy because it was supposed to be a third movie that we'll never get. And so we're never going to.
I remember telling you this, and I'll say it now, that after watching Tron Legacy, I felt like we missed an opportunity to have the middle movie be what ends up happening with Clue and Tron and Flynn. Like, that would have been like this series, Empire Strikes Back, where how he's going to build the grid and Clue's going to turn on him, and it would have ended on that coup, and he's stuck inside the grid, and then that's when the third film comes where the sun's going to save the day. Like, I feel like we missed that second film opportunity. Now that Tron Ares, which we can talk about a little later, is basically has nothing to do with anything in this film. That's what they say. Who knows if they're going to bring up? Who knows what the connections are going to be? We're kind of moving away from that, which I guess is fine, even though Flynn is in it as some kind of entity, as some kind of Jor-El-like figure from Man of Steel who's loaded into the computer. So we'll see what's happening there. But again, it's a movie. Enjoy the film. I did love the film, so I can't be too mad at it.
Well, here's my question to you.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
How does my thing? Well, obviously, I had the same question about Cora. Why does Flynn age? Why does Kevin Flynn age? He's digitized.
Well, he's technically
his
a user,
mind is in there,
but he's a user.
But he's digitized. Is it just him knowing that he's ages him? Just the knowledge that
his code isn't based from the digital world. His code is based from the analog world.
Okay, so they would still age.
So even though, like, put it this way, maybe even though the computer reads him as digital, it's still age. He's still aged. Like, he still ages him. Who knows? Okay. Also because Jeff Bridges is old, so who knows? But yeah, that's a good question. That's probably just like, I can explain it, but at the end of the day, it's because Jeff Bridges is older now. We want him in the movie. That's probably what it is. Yeah. And you don't want to just start de-aging him. I wonder if this film was made now, what that temptation would be to de-age him further, as well as Clue, and that would probably be really disconcerting. We would just be like, "Ugh, this isn't real." So I think we probably wouldn't like that. What I was going to go to was I think one of the biggest reasons this film hits is the soundtrack.
I knew that's where you were going.
because there's a moment when one of my favorite moments in the movie is when they're at the club. And the fight starts breaking out, and then Flynn shows up, and the music kicks in. You're just like, oh man. And he's just like, and he just puts his hand down. You're just like, yeah, like, that's a great moment. And like, that's because of the music. If you don't have that music in there, that moment doesn't hit as well. And the music hits all the right notes, to pun intended, throughout the film. So it was such a smart decision for them to be like, when Daft Punk was like, we want to do this film. And I remember I read the note where, like, they were interviewing Kaczynski basically, because he was like, let's talk with them. And they were like, no. And they were like, they knew all about Tron. They loved Tron. So they were like all in on it, which is awesome. So, I mean, you love the music. You could feel free to tell me what your favorite part was.
It's so great. I mean, the beginning where Flynn goes, and then I got in, man.
Oh, right.
Boom, 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 and you're just like, wow, what is this? And the final score, when you get the build up, the theme starts playing again, and Tron explodes, and the music just suddenly stops. It's just, everything, like the club scene is great too, obviously. It's just the entire score. This is one of the last, I mean, now I have obviously streaming services, but this is one of the last soundtracks I bought because I just like, I got to have this. I have to have this. It is so good. And I'm hoping some of the singles off of Nine Inch Nails Tron Ares album, but I'm hoping the score is at least good.
I'm always a fan of Trent Reznor's scores. I like his scores in
his scores are pretty good.
From the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. No, I dig his music, and I dig Nine Inch Nails. I used to listen to Nine Inch Nails all the time in the 90s. Yeah. So no, I'm all about that. No. I mean, I'm going to give Tron Ares the benefit of the doubt. I know people are down, and I know we were talking about it. We weren't, you weren't super excited, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I want to go into a film and have the same feeling I have when I watch a Tron Legacy, a Top Gun Maverick, a Men in Black, like those films when you first watch them. I want that emotion. And, if I get it in its first watch, and at the end of the day, we're like, 5 years later, I'm like, it's okay. Like that. The Nice Guys is so good because that's that type of film. That film is just so good because that's the feeling you get that from. You're just having a good time. And so I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. One of the things that you were talking about the music, and I brought this up, and I think you brought this up in terms of like this being a summer film, and it's an adventure. It's an adventure movie. It's an escapism movie. And I think that starts from the music, because the music kicks you off and the music carries you through all the rest of the movie to the end where it leads up. And there's different moments in the film where it kind of like, builds up to something. And we have Flynn shows up at the club, and we build up to something when they have the end, like all that stuff. So I think that the music helps with that. And it's very, it's probably, I don't want to say it's underrated. I think everyone loves the soundtrack, and I think everyone appreciates how great it is. I think it's underrated in terms of like what it does for the movie. Not only does it sound great, but it carries you through the scenes of the movie. And that's why I think it's underrated, where people don't realize that a big reason why this movie works is the music, not because it's great, but because it's working in conjunction with what you're seeing on the screen. I think I think people underrate that a little bit. I think that is true probably for a lot of soundtracks. So,
right.
Yeah, so
I think you're right. I think that kind of hits it. Like, I don't think a lot of music nowadays, maybe some of the Marvel films, you don't get those movies where you have character themes and each theme plays and and it builds to this kind of crescendo at the end, from where it started. Michael Giacchino, obviously his scores. Now I'm thinking the Batman, stuff like that. But there are very few. Not like Daft Punk is a classical composer, but they clearly know what they're doing in that realm.
50 years from now, they might be considered classical. 50 years from now, they might be considered classical. Sure. You never know. You talk about the biblical theme in the film. Are there any other themes that came out of this for you? I mean, I've got a couple here, but I'm wondering if you had any.
I mean, you got the theme of father and son, right. In terms of freedom of information. It's clearly, I think it's not like clearly said, but obviously Sam believes in giving out the product for free, sharing technology.
So did Kevin, right?
Oh, in the first film, for sure. Yeah. All that's kind of in this film. And I think that's important to an extent. You can have profits, but it's not about withholding or taking advantage of your customer base. It's about using technology to enrich humanity, which is Kevin Flynn's whole thing with the grid. Why he was so proud of the ISOs, why he wanted to build the society. So I think that's also present in there. There's definitely a strong technology can be our friend sentiment, the same as there was in Tron. Yeah.
Not as much AI. Not as much references to AI in this one as
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, wow, the one from 1984 or whatever had more AI references in this one.
Yeah, so I had the same thing. I had like digital utopia versus dystopia, and we talked about that a little bit. How Flynn didn't understand the problem with the perfect system, and then he discovers it, but it's too late. Clue doesn't know that. Right. The idea that of creator versus creation, which is always a classic one. It's a classic Frankenstein myth. Everyone, like I create something and then it rebels against me. Almost like when you have sons and fathers that have bad relationships, you have sons against fathers. Not that they don't have that. They're not connected, that kind of thing. That's heavy in like medieval time stuff, like a lot of like kings and princes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you said it yourself, legacy, just the father, the son carrying on the work of the father, that kind of stuff. That all tracks. So I have probably, I had to toss up for me what action scene is my favorite, because they're all really good. But can you pick out something that was kind of your number one?
I really liked, I think the first time I saw it, I was really into the light cycles.
Yeah.
This time I really liked the way they handled the disc game. Okay. And how he then falls. Sam just keeps falling onto the different games and trying to get out. And then he ends up in the final game system. I thought that was really cool and really well done. The bar fight's neat, but the bar fight's very chaotic.
Yeah.
And it's like the music's really good, but I have no idea what the hell's going on.
I actually liked the airplane stuff, the airplane scene, that
was
stuff
cool.
was really good.
It's light jets just because they hold the things different. Yeah, that's kind of cool idea.
It's an extension of the light cycle, so that's cool. Like you have, you're used to the light cycle grid from the game, from the original movie, that whole thing, and you see it here when it kind of updated a little bit. That's great. But in terms of, I like that they carried over into another part of the world off the grid, and you had all that. But there's like a moment where like he tells Sam, man, the guns. He turns around, he's like, oh, I'm all over this, and he's like ready to go, like that stuff. Like that was like, yeah, all right. So I thought that was really good, and you could tell he's having fun with it. Cora's having fun with it. Like there's no, like, to your point before about how this is a big summer film. Like just no even like the Kevin Flynn character is like enjoying what he's seeing. He's enjoying, like he's serious in the beginning. Like, do you know what happens if I get on the grid? That's all he wants is my disc and all that stuff. So, but even then, it's still like they're having fun in the movie as we're having fun in the movie. So I really appreciate that. So that was one scene in this watch that I really liked. But we both sat here and kind of talked about a lot of stuff that we liked, Butler, and how much we liked and enjoyed this film. So, of course, I'm going to give you reviews of people who did not like this film so that you can get angry.
Ebert's still alive when this came out?
Calm down. I don't have any Ebert here. But we're going to give you some bad reviews, and I got a lot. Anhola Dargis from the New York Times wrote, despite its occasional notability, the film's vibrating kaleidoscope colors that gave the first movie its visual punch have been replaced by a monotonous palette of glassy black and blue and sunbursts of orange and yellow. What is up? He just hating on the color palette. Hating on that color palette. I mean, it's a computer world. Like, what do you want in there? I want
pinks. And I want teal blues, and I want off reds.
Andrew O'Hear from Salon says, even Bridges, an individual he regards as one of America's most beloved distinctive actors, was, quote, weird and complicated rather than being the sentimental and alluring portrayer in the original Tron. Like, we just talk about how, like, the character of Kevin Flynn has gone through some stuff. Yeah. Trapped in a world for 1,000 cycles or whatever it is.
Also, I didn't find him very sentimental overly sentimental in the first film.
Yeah. I don't know what we're talking about there. Yeah. Bruce Jones from the New Yorker. Disney may be looking for a merchandising bonanza with this long gestating sequel to the groundbreaking 1982 film, but somehow in the corporate offices forgot to add any human interest to its action-heavy script.
He was just expounded on the themes for half this episode.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's another one that's eh. And then finally, Butler, Dana Stevens from Slate. Tron Legacy is the kind of sensory onslaught blockbuster that tends to put me to sleep, the way babies will nap to block out overwhelming stimuli. I confess I may have snoozed through one or two climactic battles only to be startled awake by an incoming neon frisbee.
What a douche comment. That is such a I don't own a TV kind of comment.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Do you wear a scarf in the summertime? Like, come on.
Gotta hide that neck. Yeah. It's a lot of hatred, brother. A lot of hatred. So let me go through some other facts, since we're talking about a lot of themes and stuff like that. This film was nominated for Best Sound Editing. Didn't win. Its shooting day, it had 64 days of shooting and it had 68 weeks of post-production, which is a lot of the special effects. I know. Its wardrobe budget was $13 million. And we haven't talked a little bit about the skin tight electric suits they wore that had light strips in there. And the note I have was that they originally were going to be, first they had some light tape in there, and then they had the strips in there, but they would lose light. Yeah. So they were battery powered. They're AA batteries. They had to change the batteries between every take in order to get these things to work. It's like, there had to be a better way, but apparently there wasn't. So that's just what they dealt with. And I guess they were very uncomfortable, very hot.
I can see them being hot. But like the AA batteries, I know it's only, I mean, you're probably filming it in 2008 or 9, but like there had to have been some kind of rechargeable. Well, they're camera batteries. They couldn't have made a camera battery charger.
Maybe they couldn't hide it. Maybe it was too hot. I don't know. Your point about how, you like the 3D in this film, that stuff, a lot of the stuff inside the Grim was filmed in the 3D format. So it's not like it used to be. Better, yeah. It's not like how it's usually where they film it and then they convert it to 3D. It's actually filmed in 3D. And the cameras they were using were a step above the 3D tech that you were using in the original Avatar. So they're using pretty high end stuff here. Mike, you're an actor. You're getting Tron Legacy. Are you shaving your head and bleaching your eyebrows to play a role? Because that's what James Frain did for Jarvis.
Yeah. I mean, that's my role. There's a lot of people, like, look at Leonard Nimoy. Every time he was Spock, shaved his eyebrows and got that stupid haircut, and he hated it. But he did it for decades.
A lot of
Zachary
money.
Quinto did the same thing. What's his face? The guy who plays Spock now, his haircut's a little less stupid, but he's doing the same thing currently.
He's a good Spock.
Yeah. There's just a lot of people who have to,
do what they have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just with Timothy Oliphant and his bleached eyebrows. His wife wouldn't touch him. He kept making fun of him while he had the bleached eyebrows for Kirsch. And he had to go to a restaurant, and he put on a suit and he was like, "Does this look good?" She's like, "As long as they don't look at your eyebrows, you look fine."
Yeah, she ain't complaining about that money coming in from alien Earth.
Absolutely not.
The other thing which was funny, because not funny, but it was interesting because we both like this film, and I can't imagine not having Alan Bradley in it. But there were early drafts of the script that didn't have him in it, and like he caught wind of that, and Bruce Boxleitner was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And everyone it was an outcry, and they put him in. It's like, how do you not have him in the movie?
That's really dumb. Yeah, you need to have him in the movie. You need to have Tron in the movie. I don't think there's enough Tron. Or there maybe is enough Tron, but I don't think they make a big enough.
Well, Tron's Rinsler at this point.
He's Rinsler, yeah. His turn back into Tron
is not as weird.
I think it's a little anticlimactic.
It makes no sense because it makes no sense because all of a sudden.
Yeah, he's been fighting Flynn this whole time, and now all of a sudden he doesn't want to.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It would make more sense if Flynn got to him at some point, or saw him face to face, or touched him, or whatever.
Touched his disc.
Or when he touches something, like when he comes in and he touches the floor of the club. If Rinsler was there, it affects him a little bit. It messes up his code. Yeah, something like that. Because they talk about, there's a note how you hear Rinsler, and Rinsler is always that digitized. You hear him he's like, it's a weird digitized. Yeah. His buzz coming. That's because his code is corrupted by Clue. So that's why he sounds like that. So then when he changes to Tron, when he's floating down, it kind of clears up and you just hear like he's uploaded or whatever, reset. But yeah, it would have made more sense if something Flynn did affected that. But yeah, it's great. I mean, in the movie, you're like, yeah, but when you think about it, you're like, that doesn't make sense. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. For a movie called Tron, that doesn't do enough right by Tron.
True. So, I mean, we're doing this obviously because we're seeing Tron Ares soon when Butler comes back from his Halloween Horror Nights trip. So it's a little weird because it's not technical. It is a sequel, but it's got really no connection, we're told, to these two films. So after you just watch this and after you've seen the trailers, how 1 to 10, how excited for Tron Ares are you?
Yeah, I'm a 6.
Yeah.
And that's only because I've seen Legacy. Like, one thing I hate is people just going, all right, like with the new X-Files series, I hope it seems like they're not going to do this, but if they did do this, it's like, we're going to take everything you learned and we're going to throw it in the garbage. Mm-hmm. Thanks for having stuck with us and given us money and made this success. And now we're just going to dump on it. Mm-hmm. It's what I'm afraid they're going to do with Star Trek Earth when that comes out, the movie they want to do possibly for the next Star Trek. It's just like, I was invested in these characters. I want to see these characters. I wanted to see a continuation. There was no reason to wait, 15 years. Now no one wants to, they claim no one wanted to do it. It's just too little too late. I'm not a huge Jared Leto guy. Like 30 Seconds to Mars is good music, or I like some of their songs, but like
you don't like him in Panic Room?
Yeah, he's all right. He's
I don't
okay.
mind him. I mean, yeah, okay, but I get it. He's a little out there a little bit. I get that. But
yeah,
most actors are. That's how actors are.
Sure, but I would say I like him when he was younger, but some of his more modern stuff, he doesn't seem to like really try.
Well, he's probably focused on other things, but I hear you.
Sure,
he's like our little. I think I've heard this reference before. He's like our modern day, even though Johnny Depp's still around, but he's like our modern day Depp, like in terms of like his off-screen persona, his on-screen persona.
Sure, but when Depp goes on screen, he can transform and becomes other things. Sure. I don't see that in Leto. Go ahead, Jared. So like him being in it doesn't really excite me. The fact that I'm sure Flynn's scene is a throwaway. I liked being in the grid. Them being in the real world is a cool idea, but I don't know how excited that makes me.
We'll have to see how it pans out.
Yeah.
Let's see how it pans out.
So I'm curious to see. Yeah. I hope that I get that same experience. I'm proven wrong in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Trent Reznor's score comes on, and I'm just like, hot damn, I'm back.
So
right now,
Tron Legacy 2010. Is this one of the top 10 sci-fi films of the last 25 years? Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
Are you willing to say that?
I would say so.
Top 5
off the top of my head, just shooting it out. Yeah, I think so.
Top 5.
Top 5. Last 25 years.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to see what's out there. I mean, Children of Men is really good. What's
out there. Yeah, I would probably say no for the top 5.
Okay, so you're definitely saying top 10 sci-fi films of 2020 of the last 25 years of the new century.
2020. Yeah. I wouldn't put. I don't know if I'd put that top 5. You were right. Children of Men is really good. That might be a top 5.
Children of Men is awesome.
The J.J. Abrams Star Trek, I think, is really good.
The first one, really better than higher than Tron Legacy. Yeah,
100%. 100%.
Is Super 8 sci-fi? Would you count Super 8 sci-fi?
Super 8 sci-fi, but I don't know if Super 8 would be top 5 or even necessarily top 10.
Hang on, I'm typing it. I'm going to see if I can come up with some code.
Matrix Revolutions, which is going to be an unpopular take. I really like Revolutions.
That's the third one.
That's the third one, yeah.
Well, what about like Minority Report?
Minority Report's great.
Arrival, Edge of Tomorrow, AI.
Oblivion.
Of course, Megan 2.0.
Megan 1 and 2.0. Is Jason X after 2000? Jason X.
I mean, I guess you can count like Blade Runner 2049, The Martian.
Blade Runner 2049 is definitely up there.
Yeah.
Her. Pretty good.
What about her? What about Interstellar? I know you don't like him. I know you don't like Christopher Nolan, but you're not even willing to Interstellar.
I love Christopher Nolan's films, just not his recent films, and him as a hip when he speaks. I want him to be quiet. I still have to watch Oppenheimer, so I might like some of his recent ones, but yeah, Tenet and
Interstellar.
I don't like Interstellar.
I know. I know you love Looper.
Looper's not him. Looper's Ryan Johnson. Oh, you're just naming more sci-fi films?
Yeah,
Looper's terrible.
All right.
Not terrible. Looper was very disappointing. Looper was okay, but everybody made such a big deal about it. And I watched it like a month later and I went, what?
I don't remember having that negative feeling for Looper as you did. I remember enjoying it, but whatever. Everything. Anytime something's really over is super hyped. Like I obviously want to see one battle after another, but I'm sick and tired of people telling me it's the greatest movie of this generation because
Steven Spielberg has already seen it 3
and that's fine.
times.
And that's fine. And I really want to see it, and I hope it's great, and I hope I love it. But it's very difficult for me to walk out of a film after there's very few films that I've walked out of going, that's a great film. Matrix was one of them, but Fight Club was another.
Dark Knight.
Yeah, exactly. There's very few films when you get at the end of the movie, you're just like, holy crap, that was great. Very few. And maybe this will be one of those movies.
Dark Knight was the first film I had seen with you where you walked out going, that was a great movie. And I was like, God damn, Mike Field just said that was a great movie.
Because, exactly. And when I say that, it's true, because that's why I don't say everything's great, dude. Come on. That's why. I love The Nice Guys. I love The Nice Guys. The Nice Guys is awesome.
Nice Guys is really good.
Anyways, okay. Regardless of that. So thank you for watching this short lead up of Tron and Tron Legacy. Check out Tron Ares, as we're going to do soon for our now showing, which will be, I don't know when this is coming out. So eventually. Mike, let everyone know where they can find us before we sign off.
You can find us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or wherever you get your podcast or shows. If you're watching us, wherever you're watching us, like, rate, subscribe, comment. What's your favorite? What are your top 5 sci-fi films of the last
25
10
years?
years?
10 years.
You're
10
not,
years.
but spot. You have 25 years, 10 years, 5 years. Let us know in the comments down below. And are you excited for Tron Ares? And if you like our show, we have so much to give. We have a new show every Wednesday. We are going into, when this comes out, it will probably be the first week of Forgotten Horror. Forgotten Horror 7, The Nightmare is Real. An entire month, 6 horror films every Wednesday, including a bonus one on Halloween. We've done this every year. It's a lot of fun. Field and I have a lot of fun doing them. So check those out. We've done other lead-up series like our Conjurings. Yep, Field is decorated for Halloween. We did our Conjuring lead-ups. We did our Conjuring Now showing for Conjuring Last Rites. We have numerous other sci-fi shows. If you like sci-fi, we're covering all of Alien Earth. We covered all of the Alien films. Check out all of that. We are all over the place with content. So just stick to Forgotten Cinema.
A little too much content. We're too much. All right. Yeah. So we'll see you for Tron Ares and for our next lead up, which I believe is the 1987 The Running Man. So we'll be doing that next month or in a couple weeks.
I can't hear you.
Uh-oh. We've lost Butler. Anyways, that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'm Mike Field. That's Mike Butler. And this is Forgotten Cinema.